The movie begins with Bun Yura, a high school student, participating in sports lessons with her classmates. Despite her conservative and old-fashioned mindset, she is well-liked by her peers. However, her boyfriend, Song Yi-jun, is increasingly frustrated with her reluctance to take their relationship to the next level. He wants more intimacy, but Yura is hesitant to comply. This ultimately leads to a breaking point, and Yi-jun ends their relationship, citing her conservative views as the reason. As time passes, Yura tries to move on from her past relationship with Yi-jun. However, she is confronted with the harsh reality that he has moved on with someone else, her best friend, Kang Da-hyun. One day, while the class is empty as all the students are participating in sports class, Yura accidentally walks in on Yi-jun and Da-hyun making out. Feeling awkward and embarrassed, she attempts to brush off the situation, telling them not to feel guilty and even congratulating them on their new relationship. As Yura stood on the field alongside her classmates, she couldn't help but overhear their chatter about Da-hyun and Yi-jun's relationship as they sat affectionately in the bleachers, watching their friends compete in a relay race. Despite her inner turmoil, she made a brave face and tried to appear unfazed by their gossip. But her facade was short-lived when it was her turn to participate in the relay. In a moment of unfortunate clumsiness, Yura stumbled and fell, her face colliding painfully with the baton. Desperate to save face and avoid further embarrassment, she pretended to faint. Suddenly, Kim Nam-ho, Yura's childhood friend who knew her well enough, came to see through her ruse. He rushed to her side and held her, offering comfort and support. However, their tender moment was soon interrupted by the harsh reality of their interactions. After school, Nam-ho playfully teased Yura about her incident on the field, and she couldn't help but feel irritated. As the sun set on a new day, Yura, an avid Instagram user, was scrolling through her feed when she stumbled upon an embarrassing photo of herself fainting on the field. To her dismay, the photo had gone viral and was now the subject of countless conversations and comments on social media. Adding insult to injury, the photo of Nam-ho holding her received many compliments, with many praising him as boyfriend material. Days went by, and Yura's mood grew increasingly irritable, leading Da-hyun to believe that her bad temper resulted from her recent relationship with Yi-jun. She even went as far as to apologize for not considering Yura's feelings all this time. But the truth was that Yura didn't want to be pitied. That night, Yura met Nam-ho and begged him to help her by pretending to be her boyfriend for a while. At first, he refused, but after she promised him a signed soccer ball from his favorite South Korean Premier League player, he finally agreed to her request to be her boyfriend for 100 days. With a newfound sense of happiness, Yura immediately posted photos of her and Nam-ho on her Instagram account, wanting to prove to Da-hyun and Yi-jun that she had moved on from him, who had forgotten her. At school, when Yura walked through the halls of her school, she couldn't help but feel a flutter of excitement in her chest. She had been trying to show her affection for Nam-ho in front of Da-hyun and Yi-jun but had yet to make a real impression. However, as she watched Nam-ho exercising through the window of his house across from hers, her feelings for him began to shift. Despite her growing attraction, she tried to hide her emotions and put on a brave face. Even when he teased her for watching him exercise, she tried not to let it show. One day, on a trip to an amusement park for a double date with Da-hyun and Yi-jun, as they entered the park, he asked her why she always tried to seem fine in front of her friends. Moreover, he didn't want his pride destroyed in front of Da-hyun and Yi-jun. He couldn't help but feel a twinge of disappointment as he followed her to the carousel area. But instead of answering, Yura rushed off to meet Da-hyun and Yi-jun, who had arrived first. As Yura walked away, Nam-ho couldn't shake the feeling that she had left because his ego was hurt. But things took an unexpected turn when Da-hyun asked Yura to take a picture of her and Yi-jun, following the trend of couples taking pictures in front of the carousel, while kissing. Yura, not wanting to lose to her best friend and ex-boyfriend, was forced to follow the trend and kissed Nam-ho. However, Nam-ho was taken aback by her sudden action, and in the moment of surprise, he dropped her, causing her ankle to get injured. Initially, Nam-ho was furious with Yura, but his anger dissipated when he saw her sprained ankle. He quickly went to buy an ice pack to help reduce the swelling. As they sat together, she spoke to him about her betrayal and heartbreak over Yi-jun. She explained how deeply it had affected her when he moved on so quickly after their relationship ended. Nam-ho listened patiently and offered words of comfort and understanding. He reminded her that everyone heals from heartbreak in their own time. As they walked home, Yura mentioned needing to use the restroom. Nam-ho escorted her to her house and, noticing no one around to assist her, helped her to her room to rest. From that moment on, she saw him in a new light. He was no longer just a childhood friend but a caring and compassionate man. The next day, Yura couldn't shake off the thoughts of Nam-ho from her mind. She found herself constantly stealing glances at him. Even alone, she couldn't help but imagine his muscular body. In class, Yura was confused as to why she always looked at him differently than other men. Despite his flaws, she still saw him as the cool, confident guy she had imagined. Unable to bear the constant thoughts of Nam-ho, Yura made a plan to end their fake relationship. She arranged to meet him at the athletic practice field where he used to train. As Yura made her way to the field, she spotted Namho in an alley, chatting with a girl who was smoking an electronic cigarette. The girl, named Se-young, revealed a tattoo on her chest and offered him a puff from her cigarette. Jealousy overtook Yura, and she screamed, startling both Namho and Se-young. She knows she has no right to be angry with him for being close to another girl. At that time, Namho looked confused seeing her action. As they drove home together, Yura couldn't help but ask about Se-young. Then Namho explained that she was just a friend from the athletics practice. Shortly after, Yura admitted that she didn't like the closeness between them, as she didn't want to be betrayed, even though their relationship was fake. Namho, growing increasingly annoyed with her attitude, finally suggested they end their fake relationship so that she wouldn't have to keep getting angry over trivial things. During a school break, Yi-jun and Da-hyun announced that they were going on vacation to a villa. Yi-jun's older brother had rented the villa but couldn't use it, so they invited Yura and Namho to come along to make the atmosphere more lively. However, Namho tried to explain that he and Yura had broken up, but before he could say anything, she cut him off and said that they would go to the villa so that Da-hyun and Yi-jun wouldn't belittle her. After finishing lunch, Yura and Namho decided to talk on the school building rooftop to renegotiate their fake relationship's terms. She offered to give him tickets to a soccer match in England, which she had received from her family who were invited by his favorite soccer player. The tickets were a big incentive for him, and he agreed to continue their fake relationship. Sometime later, Yura and the others arrived at the villa, where they all relaxed and enjoyed the various facilities provided. As she lounged by the pool, she couldn't help but watch Namho swimming, fantasizing about being with him in the water. At that time, Da-hyun noticed Yura's distraction and asked her about her attraction to Namho. Then she explained that while Namho may not excel academically, he possesses other admirable qualities, such as his kindness and ability to make her feel safe. Despite their fake relationship, she couldn't help but speak about his positive attributes from the bottom of her heart. But as she sat alone in the garden, lost in her thoughts, Yi-jun approached her. He told her that his feelings for her in the past were genuine and that he only wanted her to be happy. His words made Yura realize that she truly liked Namho, and she couldn't help but feel a flutter of hope in her chest. Determined to confirm Namho's feelings for her, Yura brought a blanket to him as he slept on a bench by the pool. As she tucked him in, she leaned in and kissed him, and to her surprise, he kissed her back. But as she pulled away, she realized she wasn't ready for a romantic relationship and needed to take things slow. The next day, as they packed up and prepared to leave the villa, Yura couldn't shake off her feelings for Namho. She visited him at his athletics practice to confirm his feelings for her. But as she arrived at the practice field, she was devastated to see him making out with Se-young, another close friend of his. To make matters worse, she saw they had twin tattoos, a sight that broke her heart. Enraged and heartbroken, Yura left the venue, with Namho chasing after her to try and explain. But as Se-young also arrived on the scene, she knew that there was nothing left to say. She chose to walk away, leaving them behind and moving on with a heavy heart. As Yura arrived home, tears streaming down her face, she couldn't help but blame herself for getting involved with Namho, who already had a girlfriend. The next day at school, Yura told her classmates that she had broken up with Namho and did her best to avoid him, but fate had other plans for her. One afternoon, Yura's mother picked her up from school and invited her to go camping with Namho's family, who were planning to move soon. Despite her reluctance, Yura was forced to follow her mother's plans. As night fell at the campsite, Namho, who was close by, blew smoke from an electronic cigarette directly into Yura's face, causing her irritation. In retaliation, she took a picture of him as a threat to give to his parents. But Namho, not wanting to back down, took a picture of her embarrassed face and threatened to post it on social media. Then they fought over the pictures, each trying to delete the others, until finally, she, fed up, threw Namho's cell phone from a height. Soon after, they went to the tent area to retrieve the phone. Then, Yura finally mustered the courage to ask Namho why he had kissed her back at the villa. A few days later, as Yura sat in her room, she realized she didn't want to part ways with Namho on such hostile terms. He had been her childhood friend, and she didn't want to lose that connection. Determined to make amends, she set out to find him. Instead, she decided to go to his practice site. As Yura arrived at the practice site, she was surprised to run into Se-young, the daughter of the sports teacher at her school. Up until this point, Se-young's identity had been kept hidden, as she was a child born out of wedlock. As they chatted over a cup of coffee at a nearby cafe, she confided in Yura that she couldn't tell anyone about her real identity but only to Namho, as she didn't want to cause any trouble for her mother at school. She also revealed that she had been a figure skater in the past but had to quit the sport due to an injury that left her depressed. Luckily, after her mother asked Namho for help, Se-young returned to her former enthusiasm for life, and they became close friends. So in the past, when Namho was forced to give up playing soccer due to injury, Yura helped him find his zest for life again. He had always liked her but hesitated to express his feelings, as he thought that Yura still had feelings for Yi-jun. At this point, she realized that Se-young was not his girlfriend, and Se-young informed her that they both shared the same tattoo, as they were both fans of the same soccer player. On the other hand, when Nam-ho began to pack up his things in preparation for his move, he couldn't help but remember all the happy times he had shared with Yura. He remembered how she had always been there to cheer him up, even when he had to give up his dream of becoming a soccer player. From that day on, he realized he had fallen in love with her. He also remembered his happiness when Yura asked him to be her fake boyfriend. After Se-young and Yura finished their conversation, Se-young handed over her phone number to Yura. She wanted to keep in touch after Nam-ho moved away. She also advised Yura to be honest with him about her feelings for him. But when Yura arrived at Nam-ho's house, she hesitated again and decided not to tell him. She realized he would soon leave and didn't want to complicate things. The next day, as Yura entered her classroom, she was surprised by a romantic gesture. She thought it was from Nam-ho, but as she and Nam-ho walked into the classroom, her classmates revealed that they had planned the surprise to bring them back together as a couple. Unfortunately, Nam-ho walked away, leaving Yura feeling embarrassed and rejected in front of everyone. That night, still upset, Yura intended to vent her frustration by yelling at Nam-ho through her bedroom window. But, to her surprise, she saw a piece of paper on his window that read, "I love you." Her anger quickly turned to joy, and she ran to Nam-ho to apologize for all the times she had been rude to him. She explained that she had put up walls in her relationships to protect herself from getting hurt, and that she often pretended to be strong in front of others to avoid being seen as weak. But Nam-ho told her that he loved and accepted her for who she was, flaws and all. When he tried to kiss her, Yura hesitated and told him she needed more time to be ready for that intimacy. After that day, Yura and Nam-ho officially started a long-distance relationship as he had moved away. At school, Da-hyun attempted to apologize to Yura for the failed plan she had made to bring them back together. Then Yura forgave her but asked for space between them as she felt she had not been open with Da-hyun, who she considered her best friend. She also expressed her discomfort around Da-hyun, as she was in a relationship with Yi-jun. As the film ended, it was shown that Yura and Se-young had become close friends, and they even frequently stayed in touch with Nam-ho, updating each other on their news and lives. The moral that can be learned from this movie is that honesty and communication are key in any relationship, whether romantic or friendship. In this movie, Yura struggles with being open and honest with both Nam-ho and her friend Da-hyun, which causes problems in both relationships. Besides that, it's important to accept and love people for who they are, flaws and all. Like how Nam-ho accepted and loved Yura for who she was, despite her struggles with trust and communication.